All right, so this is going to be me talking about The Mandalorian Season 3. People haven't been that happy with it. I've just watched it over the last 2 days. So yesterday I watched the first 5 episodes. Today I watched 6, 7, and 8. And yeah, people haven't really been liking it that much. People really like the first 2 seasons. I really like the first 2 seasons too, even though this second season it was getting a little too, we need Ahsoka in here to mention Thrawn at some point, and we got CGI face, bad fake looking CGI face Luke at the end, but it still overall told a story and it worked. But this season is a lot messier, especially when it comes to the plot and things like that, or plots. So yeah, it's not as strong, and I didn't like it as much as the other 2 seasons. I'm pretty much in the same boat with everybody else. I mean, they already have kind of an issue here because they have Baby Yoda or Grogu, and he's very obviously there for merchandise, and so having Mandalorian give him up, right? Obviously, that's gonna affect that, and then also. They have to figure out where to take the character and take the story, going forward. So they decided, hey, just Grogu just comes back. And it's like, really, it completely undercuts those other 2 seasons, and so that was already not a good thing for me.
Well, I'm confused. I thought you had completed your mission, but you're still running around here with the same little critter.
It's complicated.
Just like I thought was going to be the case here. They're really scrambling to come up with something to do, right? I mean, you got him fighting random monsters and things like that, and the action scenes are still good. Like, they're exciting. There's plenty of action scenes, whether it be in space or in the air, or in ships, or on the ground. All well done, right? Well choreographed, well directed. All that's great. I don't think there's a single action scene that I thought was bad, but it still feels kind of all over the place when it comes to the actual writing, when it comes to the actual story. It starts off with what seemed to be the obvious thing that they were going to do, which was Mando getting redeemed because he took off his helmet at the end of season 2, and the Forger, she knows that. So, he gets exiled from the Mandalorians, and this is all he knows, right? It's very cult-like, the Mandalorians, but whatever. This is all he knows. And so obviously he's going to want to be redeemed, but he's given an impossible task to have to complete, which is to go back to Mandalore after it's been just completely leveled and destroyed, and get to this water. I forgot what they call it, the river of something. I can't remember what it's called, but he has to bathe in it or whatever to be redeemed. And it seems impossible. He talks to Bo-Katan about it, things like that. It seems like that was going to be the overall plot of this season, right? That's what it seemed like. But I think in like episode 2, he's already in the mines. He's already in the water, right? We get a little side quest, side mission from a video game or something with him needing IG-11 for whatever reason, and then he just settles with another droid anyway. So that was lame and pointless. But he finally gets to the mines. He gets captured, and things. Bo-Katan comes to save him. And then he just goes to the water, bathes in it, and he's cool, right? So that storyline is just over. In the middle of the episode, it turns into something else. The doctor that was really into the cloning and things like that with Moff Gideon, he is now part of this amnesty program, which is reintegrating people that were in the Empire, like officers and things like that, reintegrating them into society with the New Republic, and giving they got a job and things like that, a stable living. To really help them get reacquainted with the Empire being gone and the New Republic and things. And I thought that was really interesting, right? We get to see Coruscant. Coruscant is fantastic. Even with the problems of the prequels, Coruscant is one of the best planets, I think. One of the most interesting planets in Star Wars. So you get to see that, and that's some cool world building and things like that. But as much as I liked that, and I liked the relationship going on there, the betrayal was obvious with the other person that was with Moff Gideon before, and he's really hell-bent on continuing his research, but it was all a trap, and he ends up getting like his maybe killed or his mind wiped or whatever's going on there. Obvious betrayal, but I thought it was interesting and I liked it, but it would have been much better in something else, right? We could have seen the amnesty program and things like that in something else, because having it just be right there in Mando, I think it was right after they got attacked by those TIE interceptors. It was right after they came back from the mines of Mandalore. Is right before they get back to the Forger, and it's like, oh well, you've been redeemed, Mando, and then also you, Bo-Katan. So then she hangs out with them for a little bit, right? Just being in the middle and spending so much time, most of the episode on that, it just felt off, right? So much of the storytelling in this just feels off, where it feels like they don't really know what they're doing. They help Navarro because, you know, Grief Karga, he's running it now, and they're getting attacked by some pirates. They had some, Mando had a run in with them earlier. Great CGI on the Pirate King or whatever, the guy that's like covered in like sea moss or whatever it is. He looks like he should be on like Davy Jones' ship or something like that. That dude looked really good, right? Like the CGI is really good pretty much throughout the whole show. Other than, you know, sometimes it's a little shaky with them flying with their jetpacks, but for the most part it looks good. And some good action scenes there of them protecting Navarro from those pirates and taking them on. We get that, and then it's finally like, oh no, the plot now is that Bo-Katan is going to bring together all the Mandalorians and things like that. It's like, okay, now that's the plot? Why wasn't that the plot the whole time? I don't get it, right? And then the really contrived way, after we get the cameo episode with Jack Black and them, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with the droid and stuff like that. It's lame. I like seeing Bo-Katan and Mando do stuff together. I think they have really good on-screen chemistry. I think they work well together, but I didn't care for that droid thing. And like everybody's already pointed out, the celebrity cameos completely take you out of it, and Lizzo can't act.
Plazio suffered greatly under Imperial rule. My husband came here as part of his rehabilitation. He oversaw the rebuilding of this planet on which my family served as nobility since it was originally settled, and we fell in love.
But yeah, you know, they finally, you know, get them all together and things like that. And the way that they get the old group that she was with that became mercenaries because she didn't return with the Darksaber, the way that they get them back and, you know, all that is this, she challenges the one that's leading them now. And she's like, you know, well, I don't have the Darksaber. And then Mando's like, no, you do get the Darksaber because somebody defeated me and took the Darksaber, or I lost the Darksaber, and then you defeated them, so it's technically hers, right? And they're like, yep. And it's like, we're making shit up as we go along, it feels like. It just doesn't feel right. Then finally we get to Mandalore, right? We get the two groups together a little bit too easy for me. That feels like it could be, you know, a couple of episodes, and it feels, you know, it doesn't feel like it develops enough and things like that when bringing the two groups, the cult-like Mandalorians and the other ones together. But they finally come together, they get to Mandalore, and they fight some people. It turns out Moff Gideon was there the whole time, and, you know, he's got these other stormtroopers that have essentially Beskar armor, right? Which I've never cared for Beskar armor being like blaster proof. It feels like literal plot armor to me. You know, it takes a lot to kill the Mandalorians, and especially to kill Mando or even to injure him. But with these stormtroopers, the Mandalorians are just so good. They can always get those weak spots where they're not being covered by the armor. It's like, okay. And then there's also the Praetorian Guards. They're there to kill, what's his name? Paz Vizsla, the big guy with the chain gun. Because there's such a lack of development of this whole storyline, because we've been doing fuck off whatever the whole show, that death didn't really have much impact for me. But he dies, and they finally take on, you know, Moff Gideon. Grogu's moving around in IG-11's body for whatever reason, and they defeat him. And it's like, really? That's it? We get to see all these planets. We get to see these different creatures and things like that. The Ugnaughts, we get to see them for a little bit. Whatever species that is, that's Salacious Crumb, you get to see them in some trees. You get to see the little Babu Frick people helping repair IG-11 and things like that. And, you know, it all looks great, right? Like I said, the CGI looks pretty great the whole time, just about. Almost everything looks really good. And like I said, the action scenes are well done too, but when it comes down to it, it just has a lack of focus, right? When it comes to the story, it feels like a bunch of padding. It feels like a bunch of side missions, and then every now and then we get into what's the main plot, and by the time we get to the main plot, it doesn't feel like it has enough development or lasts that long because we spent so much time with this other padding, right? Did they not feel like they could write enough for these particular plots, like retaking Mandalore and things like that? Retaking Mandalore should have been the main plot of this season. But for whatever reason, we didn't really truly get to it until like the last two episodes. So it's like, it's just, it's a lack of, it's a lack of, I guess, good writing, you could say, but it's missed potential, I think, because this could have been good. It could have worked, right? You did have a plot that you could use that you did end up doing, retaking Mandalore, but you focused on all this other stuff. It just feels like a mess. It feels like a mess. So yeah, that's how I felt about The Mandalorian season 3. It feels like this is the end. I don't know if we'll get another one because with the way it ends, with him and Grogu, sitting out or whatever at their cabin or whatever on Navarro, that feels like it's the end. It kind of does. I didn't even mention. So Ahmed Best also came back. The Jar Jar actor came back. He was the Jedi. We get a backstory with Grogu. That's the best thing you can get from Grogu because he's really just there to sell toys and Funko Pops or whatever. Mando isn't the only one who gets redeemed in The Mandalorian this season. What's it called? Ahmed Best gets redeemed. This is like his redemption or whatever. He gets to be a better character here, and that's cool. Hopefully, we get to see that character more because he didn't die. So hopefully, and good for him. Hopefully, he's doing all right. But anyway, as much as I hate Jar Jar Binks, I have nothing against the actual actor. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's The Mandalorian. A couple good things here and there. I don't think it's a complete train wreck, but it definitely is the weaker of the 3 seasons, and didn't really leave me with much. But yeah, that's it. Subscribe. We're done.